what they told us was a suicide note could have just been one more note that he was writing. And you don't leave two suicide notes in two separate forms in two separate places. So not only were they saying that there was a suicide note, a physical note left in the office room, they're saying that there was a digital note left on David's laptop in the kitchen. Both of them say something, but they don't say, I'm killing myself and this is why. If David wanted to write a suicide note or something, he could have done it right there. But what they're saying is instead of that, he decided to type something up where nobody would ever know if it was really from him or from anybody else, but we're just going to say that David did it. We're just going to say that he wrote this, and we're going to act like it's not a suicide note, but we're going to present it in a way that people might subconsciously think that it is a suicide note.
Now just imagine if you're a first responder here, detective coming in without knowing his background, you'd think this guy was a lunatic. Mm-hmm. So I take some compassion there to the detectives coming in. They're going to see this kind of stuff and the flags and the posters and the ammunition and the weapons and all this equipment. They're going to think, what the hell? And then in 2016 here, I think it was January 11th, is when police concluded their investigation. So we've been waiting, for 51 weeks here to get anything to chew on to move forward. And then only just today is when Greg Hernandez here received the photos from the request, the crime request, FOIA request essentially from the Apple Valley Police Department. And what they handed over to him was 400 plus photos of crime scene photos. Now, none include the bodies or the dog or the weapon. So they're just photos. So then once again, they're not that telling of anything, although some of these are very important. So he's scrolling along here now looking at it, but I'll let Greg and Vincent go ahead and chat.
Well, the first photo, the Allah Akbar, they said it was her blood, but did they say whose fingerprints those were?
They said it was David's, I believe.
No, they never went, and they never confirmed anywhere of who did the writing or whose fingerprints were in the writing, and that was one of our big contentions when this thing first out, because the police
even
went
in
out.
That Fox News video, the captain, no, I don't know, maybe not.
No, they said it was Kamel's blood that was the words were written in. So they went out of their way to say whose blood it was. But the important thing is the fingerprints of who did the writing, and that was never mentioned.
That'll be the first question that I asked Gummert then.
That's the first question that anyone should have asked.
Did they take pictures of the couch for foot impressions?
We'll go forward here, but I haven't seen any.
Now, a lot of his writing, especially this one, the letters are different. Like the O is written different multiple times. It's almost like he wrote some of this, like he may have written the Rise or most recent version, but it looks like someone else wrote Allah now or tried to copy his handwriting. Because I noticed that the handwriting, I analyzed other pieces of his writing, and it's too many different variations. I would definitely ask an FBI handwriting expert about that.
The other thing is everything is conveniently written in block lettering, so very convenient.
Yeah, it looks like they were written at two separate times. That's what I would think, but I don't know.
With the Quran, you could open the book to almost any page, much like the Bible, and you could say, hey, there's a forgiveness prayer here. That's a little too convenient because there could be a forgiveness prayer in every page. Allah Akbar written in blood is something also you never do. That's always written in Arabic. You never write that in English on a crime scene. It's never written Allah Akbar in English letters. So that's also your red herring or a stage or something, because it's only written in Arabic. Go ahead.
That's just the front door.
Okay, but this was taken later. This was not taken when they first went into the crime scene. This must have been taken when they found a bullet right above that door. which how they missed that bullet hole, how they missed a bullet hole right above this door, just shows you why so many people have so many questions. And how, yeah, there it is right there. How did they miss that?
Wow, they missed a bullet hole.
That's the kill shot. That's the shot that killed David.
And the gun was found on the left side of him when he's right-handed. I would think if I shot myself, my nerve reflexes would still be holding on to the gun for like a half a second, and as I fell to the floor, then I would release the gun, and it would be on my right side and the left side of my body.
Yeah, typically your muscles will clench up, and it'll typically be still holding the weapon. The problem is with David's gunshot was shot in the forehead, not in the temple or anything. It was almost straight on, which would have been also hard to do, I'd imagine. But that's where the gunshot was, is straight in the temple, almost execution style, like someone was standing directly in front of him.
This is after he cut his wife's hands off and his own hand off too, right?
Yeah, Dan, this is
stuff, right? Yeah,
Dan,
right.
This is why I said to Dan about 6-7 months ago about how this reminds me so much of the Cobain case.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah, it does. It does.
And Kamel was shot in the back of the head, right?
Twice they found.
This is all the same shot, by the way, just different.
Shotgun.
Show me the other angle again.
Yeah, they have no trajectory strings there attached to those holes, telling where the angle was coming from.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't look like that matches. I mean, where would David would have to be in front? Where would he have to be for that? He'd have to be.
He'd have to be laying on the floor, shooting himself straight up this way.
Yeah,
He's standing on his head.
Which is what they said he did.
that's one of the main things they would have done was line up all these shots and the position of the body, and we have none of that. We have none of that.
Yeah, we don't have the other three shots holes anywhere from Kamel and Rani. Where are those holes and where were they fired from? I didn't see those.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced that he did it because it came from his own gun. It's Christmas time. People party around Christmas. Someone he knew could have came over, drugged both of them, and took his gun. They knew what kind of gun he had, so they put a silencer on it, and they killed everyone, and they made it look like he did it.
Why would somebody take it upon themselves to open up the ceiling and go up and look for another bullet in a crime scene that the cops may have overlooked without alerting the authorities? First said, guys, I think you might overlook. They were looking for something up there, maybe another hard drive.
And those gifts sat there for how long?
From the 28th, 26th.
Roughly 3 weeks.
3 weeks they sat stacked like that in the winter.
They looked in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, can you go back to that picture of the gifts? 3 weeks in the winter. That's hard for me to believe. Look at that.
That kind of weather.
They didn't get rained on. They're not wet at all. 3 weeks.
That's some really good paper.
You see what? Okay, we're fine. That's why I was so excited to see these guys.
And when exactly did it snow?
There was hardly any snow during that 3-week period, and no rain, I don't think either. So but they would have been moist or something. You would think, but there was no snow, no noticeable snow during those 3 weeks.
Okay, because they were very clear in the report to say there were no footprints when we arrived, no visible footprints other than animal prints.
No rain, no wind, nothing, no mist.
Funny how a brown paper bag doesn't absorb moisture from the ground. If it was sitting in the snow was even anywhere near it, it would have a water stain. It would have absorbed.
You can see the snow and you can see the water back there. It's just those look like brand new presents. Can you zoom in at all on those, Vince?
Yeah. And the perps would not have left any tracks.
Way too. I mean,
There's snow on the ground, right?
I mean, look. For 3 weeks in the winter. Not even a rip.
No.
Not even a little tear. Okay, thanks.
You're gonna murder your family. You're gonna murder your wife. You're gonna lock all the doors. You're gonna lock them in. You're gonna make them feel like prisoners. You're gonna feel safe doing it.
What about the dog? Are you gonna take that dog out too, or what?
Chances are that dog's gonna come at you, and you're gonna kill him. So that dog is locked up. That dog's gonna freak when the first gunshot goes off. Especially if somebody drops to the floor. The dogs love you. Dogs love you. You know, if you're a dog.
This is the back door that they said was open a little bit in the audio recording.
Now take note of those tracks too. Look at all those tracks. That's all theirs, from what they say. But there's dog tracks in there too,
Okay,
and they had
that
to
back
chase
door
that
was open at all. That back door was open even a quarter of an inch.
1/4.
A dog, hungry, wanting to find people for help, whatever, would open that door easily.
Or bark, at least, I would think.
Yeah.
But of course, now in the photo, it's closed.
My dog would already be another zip code if I left the door open like that for longer than 5 minutes, let alone weeks.
Now, this is right outside the back door. They thought that was interesting, whatever that was.
Yeah, what is that black thing? I was trying to figure out what that was too. Could that be hair? Or?
A ligature?
I don't know.
Something off a hippie's coat from the 60s, a fringe?
But again, when this happened, when they died, there was no snow on the ground.
Dan?
Very little, if anything.
All right, so we wouldn't see any tracks.
I don't believe we would. I think there is
there
the
was a
focus of the footprint of the officers, because later you see the officers holding up their shoes, proving that it matches. So once again, they're going out of their way to prove something that's irrelevant, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, there's also a side door. Did they say whether that was unlocked and they can get into the house through the side garage door?
I think everything was locked, I believe.
Oh, okay.
In fact, when the officers came, they gained entrance to the home using that sliding door after someone brought a catch pole for the dog.
Yeah, through that back door. But this side door, in one photo, it does look like there is blood on it. And it also, there's some red dots on the recycling bin right next to that too. So those should be coming up soon.
I smell a two-parter here, gentlemen. Again, I think we're gonna have to do this tomorrow night again after we all get a chance to look at these and get zoom-ins on them too.
Yeah,
If you're interested, love to have you back tomorrow.
for sure.
Awesome.
That's the recycling bin right there, and you can see a couple little, just one or two little dots, maybe three. When did those garbages go out too? That's also key. I think that's a good thing to figure out. This garbage is empty. There's one thing in it. One thing in it. So.
Oh, look how close the other house is, by the way. That's got to be like 10 feet. Right? Then there's houses in back of them, and then there's another house to the left. So all these people had to be on vacation not to hear 6 gunshots from 30 caliber. I get really sad when I see pictures of his little daughter, because I have a little girl, and I just could not imagine a father harming even a hair on his little daughter's head. I
There's
can't.
some psychos out there who do that shit, though.
I know, but I don't believe David would do it.
I think a big thing is going to be, have they actually determined a time of death?
You could zoom in on this one.
Only on the 26th, but no, they'll never have that. They'll never have a time.
I mean,
they'll
that
never
would
have
make a
a.
big difference.
Yeah, They don't have any motive. They have no proof that David Crowley is guilty, and I don't think they ever will.
That's the different handwriting that you see throughout this. You can tell that the original note that he wrote doesn't really match up.
Thermostat at 68.
There's the drugs that he was doing that made him flip out and kill everyone because he smoked a little bit of weed. Of course, he's guilty. Case closed.
I've
Oh my
smoked
God.
pot and murdered before myself, but it was always a pizza. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just sitting in that grinder too. It's like it's not even being used, which makes me think that he was kind of in the process of maybe he was getting ready to smoke, and maybe something happened that he didn't have time to. I always found it kind of strange that the gun safe was just wide open, but we'll come to that later. Yeah, there's the gun safe right there. I mean, I don't know. Like, the only reason I would keep mine wide open is if I needed to get somewhere, if I needed to take that gun to somewhere right now, or else I would close it. But
And they weren't really clear about the hands being cut off. Maybe they used his hand to open the safe to frame him with it.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
too.
but you would
That
find
is a
blood
fingerprint
there.
safe, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole edge of the bureau here was wiped off. Look at all the dust everywhere else. That was wiped off.
Yeah, except for that one area. That's a great point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
That's a
just to go back, that gun safe was not left open. That was for purposes of the photography.
And there's keys in there. Throughout the whole house, you're going to find keys. You're going to find multiple. I counted at least, not including the set of keys that we just saw, at least 3 or 4 different sets of keys in that house. I'm not saying that means anything or whatever. You also find notepads and paper everywhere. This guy was taking notes. He was writing all these different notes. What they told us was a suicide note. Could have just been one more note that he was writing.
What flag is
Where's
that
that?
from? Anybody know?
I don't know. I can't see it.
I'll look it up. No, theirs has got the half moon with the star, so it's not Pakistani.
It's got a crescent.
Now, keep in mind, David Crowley didn't have an office or a storage unit or a place where he can put his. He basically worked from home, so everything there was in his home. This would have been a very different scene if he would have had his supplies and props off-site. But when you come in and you see this, all these things right when you come into the home, weapons and cartridges and props, ammunition, signs, and it's
Can someone tell me what these white things are? I mean, is these bricks of cocaine in his wall? I mean, what are these things supposed to be?
I don't know. I've never seen anything like it.
I was thinking it was some form of soundproofing or something, some insulation, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he was, the handyman of the house, kind of.
Yeah, Greg, we need to keep in mind, too, for the others, that this was home when they moved into this home. It was just a 2-bathroom home. They moved in, a year early, or they've only been there a year, and that basement, this bathroom right here that you're seeing was added later, so it wasn't yet complete. It looks like it wasn't yet complete. This is now the 3rd bathroom in the home.
These round circles, it looks like he's making himself in this bucket right here. And then storing it in the walls. And a lot of those sinks had a lot of white residue. I don't know if it was just toothpaste or what. These things seem really weird to me.
While we're talking here, while you guys are explaining things, I'll do a quick little search and see if I can find anything that looks or resembles it at all.
So are those discs sitting in police evidence? Are they still at the house, or where are those white discs at of the molds?
Yeah, they don't mention them. They're not in those 94 pages. They're not mentioned at all.
That's bizarre.
Well, there's a lot of things that they don't mention, you know.
I found out that the flag's Afghanistan. I'll screen share it with you guys.
Excellent.
That's the flag, right? Is that the same flag we saw?
That's it. So she was born in Saudi Arabia, but she went to Pakistan, but they have an Afghanistan flag. Is that?
And then they moved to Texas.
This gets weirder and weirder, this case, I'm telling you.
Yeah, the family, the Alam family, is currently living in Texas, and that's where they came when they moved to the States from Pakistan. But the family was from Pakistan, moved to Saudi Arabia. They lived at a U.S. military base in Riyadh when the girls were born. And when they were 6 or 7 years old, moved back to Pakistan for a few years to be with family, then moved to Texas, where Kamel finished school and went to Baylor University to get her degree, and then came to the University of Minnesota when they moved here to get her master's. So you've got a Riyadh connection, a Saudi Arabia connection, Texas, the state of Texas, which is a hotbed for military types and intelligence, and you've got Pakistan connected. You've got an Afghanistan flag. Who knows? Very strange.
Well, the Afghanistan flag, I mean, that's where David served, right? So
he served there. Yep, that's the only connection to that. But
yeah. So I don't know.
Well, plus this was an act of jihad, apparently.
Somebody was afraid of something. Somebody was afraid of something that wasn't in the raw cut movie, but he worked on a finishing product, and he let somebody know what was in it, and that word got out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah.
You fill them in on that, Greg?
December 9th, a Facebook post posted on December 9th that was later taken down after David's death. And that had to do with Sean Wright asking David Crowley not to put Sean Wright's tax problems into David Crowley's documentary film. David Crowley told Sean that he doesn't have to worry because he doesn't have Sean's tax talk in the film. Well, it was in the one in the rough cut.
There are circular discs for soundproofing that can be put in any walls in a house.
Oh, okay.
If you want to stop it, I can show you. It may or may not be it. This is I didn't find anything under any kind of construction purposes for it. But hold on a second here. I can. I don't know if it'll let me here. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
See these here?
Yeah.
Okay. This is called. This is from a company called Gumtree.com. And if you want to read into them, man, they come in all different sizes as far as the circle itself, and they are used for soundproofing.
Oh, maybe that's one. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can say, and it looks like it's. I've only found it in the United Kingdom. I haven't found anything American-made, so. Not that that matters because people shop online all the time, but I just wanted to put that out there. Could be a possibility.
Yeah, that makes me wonder if it was something that he actually made. This guy seems like, you know, he was into making stuff like that, but
Right.
interesting. Especially with that bucket there. I didn't notice that bucket. But that also shows that he was planning for the future. I mean, there's so many things that show that he was planning his future. That he was not, it doesn't seem like he was planning on ending his life. It seems like he was planning on starting over, starting fresh.
What kind of dog was it? Anybody know?
some kind of beagle mix, maybe 30 pounds, 20 pounds, kind of smaller. But that's still, if it's 3 weeks and it's 21 days, and if the dog, I don't know, twice a day. You're still dealing with 42 piles of stuff around the house, and I haven't seen anywhere near that
Unless he's not
on these
eating.
photos.
If he doesn't have any food, though, he's not going to be taking a dump, probably.
Unless
Much.
he was locked in the basement.
So, Greg, did you want to finish up on that story with Sean Wright's tax thing that was in the documentary that got them all riled up?
Well, we're still trying to figure out who took down David's post.
Yep.
If the cops had access and if the cops had contacted Facebook on the 17th, how is it possible that somebody was able to go into David's account and take those posts and those comments out? Only, I mean, in theory, it seems like only the cops would be able to, and they have no reason to. Facebook itself has no reason to, but somebody did.
Yeah, we've got screenshots before and after, so that's got to be looked at by the investigators. We're not sure that they did, but I'm assuming that someone in a good investigation would have certainly looked at that as an avenue.
Trail of an IP of who logged in and from where.
Right.
Has anybody taken samples of the handwriting we're seeing now and compared it to the notes that the killer allegedly left behind, just to look for to compare it?
I mean, I've done it, but I haven't taken it to a pro, but it's definitely something that should be done.
It's pretty easy to pick up on little nuances on different letters, though, with people that even us quote-unquote amateurs could probably to tell real quick if they would match up or at least be close.
Yeah, I would say that they don't match up. Just me personally, they don't. They really don't. And I don't see it as a suicide note either. So even if it does match, it's not a suicide note. No, it's not. And you don't leave two suicide notes in two separate forms in two separate places. So not only were they saying that there was a suicide note, a physical note left in the office room, they're saying that there was a digital note left on David's laptop in the kitchen. Both of them say something, but they don't say, I'm killing myself and this is why. Or they don't say, they don't say anything like that. Nothing. There's a little blood at the bottom right corner where that little arrow is pointing. You can see the blood there. You'll see trails later, and that could have been where the dog was sleeping right there. Some of the blood looks like kind of like in the upper corner. It kind of looks like a trail, maybe a blood trail. Maybe the dog was carrying something. I don't know. In the middle right corner, that looks like dog poop. Might be one of the only signs of dog poop there. I don't know. It's very small, but it's slender. It's very slick. It looks like that's what it looks like to me. Very unhealthy dog poop. And so this must have been, that blood that we just saw must have been where David shot himself. He must have been, how would you say, facing right, I guess. His head was looking towards the right of this screen if that bullet hole was his. But if he's missing his whole skull and he's missing his hand, there should be a lot more blood there.
There should be way more blood.
Way more blood.
Way more blood.
Yeah,
we're not seeing it.
When we get into the other photos here, you see some, but not the extent of what you would see for the loss of life for 3 individuals here. You'd see large amounts of blood, pooling of blood.
And this looks like they're just taking this photo so that they can prove that there was no signs of anybody trying to break in or anything like that. But nobody needed to break in because the back slider was open. So
correct.
They should have never even went there.
Yeah, there's dozens of photos of the doors and the door jams.
That's a picture from the inside. Why wouldn't they take a picture from the outside to prove that nobody tried to jimmy it open?
Well, they did. Those were the pictures where we saw those presents moved. So those come up later too.
Because the door does look like it was forcibly opened at one time and then repaired.
Interesting. Because of that little mark right there in the middle of the door. Yeah. Now this is the weirdest thing to me because I don't know anything about crime scenes or any of that stuff really, but why is this blue? This could only be blue from maybe ink, from the Quran maybe. And I was also trying to figure out, are these footprints or are these handprints or are these both? Because they're all going in separate ways.
I think they're footprints, the police said, and they're David's. And I don't know if it's really blue, but it's the dark color that blood turns when it's after it's exposed. It's a darker, I guess, color. So that seems to me like it's.
Well, all right, but
doesn't it turn that color after they spray luminol on it or something?
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
At first, I thought it was a footprint, but then if you look at it, it looks like there's a thumb on it right up there. The bottom right one, it looks extremely long. That looks more like a thumb right there.
Okay. Which is weird too. Yeah. And in that upper.
All the hair everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, the hair is strange too. So here they're blue or green, but elsewhere you'll see at least one set of footprints that are still red. So I was trying to understand if they did spray this with, something for testing, how come they didn't spray the other one? Maybe they did, and they took the picture first. But if that's true, they should have also taken this picture first. They should not have done anything with this photo. They should have taken it in the natural state, basically.
The footprints don't even look right. I mean, if
they're big. Yeah.
There's one this way, there's one this way, and then there's a foot here, like they were placed there intentionally.
One kind of looks like a dog print, but yeah, I had the hardest time figuring that out. So there's the front door.
So it looks like David was probably like a handyman, and that was probably a drive-in back set to start with, and it looks like he had to do some chiseling there to get that particular type of a strike installed there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you'll see stuff like that throughout the whole house, where he's doing it himself. He's a fix-it guy, which, it's good. So is this the side?
That's the jamb, looks like, of the front door.
Okay.
Complete with drywall screws holding it, just like I do.
There's the bodies. Now that picture, the bodies were moved at this point. This is not where the bodies were. This is not where the bodies should have been. Why they're here is very, very strange. The one in the upper right has got to be David, which would kind of make sense where that bullet hole was found above the door. The white body bag is probably the daughter, I'm guessing.
Yeah, someone zoomed in earlier today and said it was the daughter. But the question is, they were moved because for those new here, the police investigation said that little Randy was sitting or laying in the lap or within between the legs of her mother Comel. So they were all basically, the two of them were together. They were not like this, so they must have moved them for some reason. But once again, we still haven't seen the crime scene photos, if they released them or not, but if they're going to be redacted. But it'll be interesting to see the bodies in this actual state as they were lying and what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
Body bags doesn't help us here. It doesn't tell
I
us
got a
anything.
question for you guys. So obviously they got a Christmas tree there and Christmas decorations. Was the family a practicing Christian family or practicing Muslim family, or were they commingling? Do you know, or what was the faith of the family as a whole? How are they raising the daughter?
I believe they were. I think they were Christian. I don't know how active. They didn't go to church too often, but David was Christian. Family members have said that Comel did convert to Christianity after the marriage, but
well, that's
I think they celebrated the Christmas for the holidays from the perspective.
Did they celebrate Muslim holidays? I wonder, or did she just leave that behind and?
You're not allowed to convert. You're not allowed to convert. You convert, you die. You leave the Muslim faith, you die. There are no exceptions.
That's not always true. No, that's not always true. No, I know Muslims who have done.
Then they're not practicing the Quran. That would be like a Christian saying, "Well, I'm saved, so I could just sin anyways."
Which they do.
Yeah, it's very strange.
They're only fooling themselves doing it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. We all sin, so.
We all do.
Yeah.
Saying that it doesn't always happen, it doesn't always happen, but it would be about saying an 80-20 on a scale out of 100. 80 it happens and 20 it doesn't, and it pisses a lot of people off for some reason when they change.
And she's from the old country. It sounds like she's from that area, so her family's probably pretty hardcore Muslim, I'm going to guess.
The other thing is when Comel was died, that the family did request the body of hers be sent back down to Texas for a proper burial, and the father did request the body get washed a certain way for the Muslim burial. That's all that we know.
Yeah, if you go back that one, yeah, that one right there. I think that's about as.
You see a lot of hair, but where's the pools of blood? There's 3 people died in that area. I'm guessing.
There should be a lot of blood on that carpet, and there are stains, and I guess depending on the time, that blood stains.
Is that a body in that bag right there, right?
Yeah, it is. That's the wife's body.
There should be blood everywhere.
Now the cutting off of all the hair would be somebody pissed off that she's not wearing a habib. She's not covering herself. This is religious. You're uncovered. Before I cut your throat and cut your head off, I'm cutting all your hair off.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, the Muslims I know, it's very, very different, and really we're not talking about Muslims from the past. These are Muslims that don't want to live in their Muslim country. They want to live here.
Extended family. They have extended family.
Yes, they do. You're right.
Extended family have friends that are already here in America that would gladly say, because they call it what? Honor killing. And it's an honor to the person to go and do it, which is sick, but
to the child too, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do they look for at all crime scenes? Hair fibers. How do you confuse this scene? You put hair everywhere. You make the guy's job a nightmare, so he doesn't even want to search for other people's hair fibers.
Excellent point.
Yeah. Well, the dog could have done that too, right?
Let's stop there, guys. Mark it at 225, and let's do the
photos of the dog. Are there photos of the dog? Are there photos of was the feces collected to see the human remains digested, the human bone particles that would have been in there? Were there photographs of the dog's face? Was the dog's mouth swabbed? The dog's hair cut to take any kind of samples that are on the dog? The dog's the only witness.
Yeah, I want time to go through everything we've looked at, and then I don't want to even look at the next, 220 something until tomorrow, because I like the way we're analyzing them as they come up, but I want to analyze those some more. And I want to say, I mean, we can say there's been futuristic movies made about this crap that he was talking about, but we have not seen a movie where in real time, right now, in present time that they're showing, the government sitting there staring through computer screens watching us on a daily basis. And what we're talking about here is the ruling elite, government corruption, deliberate economic devastation, police state tactics, militarization of the police, brutalization, problem reaction solution, mass indoctrination and propaganda, all forms of surveillance, counterterrorism, left-right political paradigms, individualism, communism, cognitive dissonance, military and war. We're seeing this all in one film, and I really think that he was about to bring some shit out that the public was not going to be able to handle, and that it was going to blow the lid off of what the government is doing, the corrupt forces that have hijacked our government are doing. What we've seen, what happened with the Patriots now in Oregon as they're being demonized, and Patriots is used throughout this entire documentary, which for some reason his co-filmmakers have decided to not release for some reason.